much to learn from him. Thirdly, we have, forgive me if I'm getting this wrong, but Kuva. I have Mr. Kuva here with us. He is a founder and a creative technologist. So you're welcome. So our audience, I would like to give the floor for a brief introduction so that at least we know who, well, not all our audience, but some of you, of course, would like to know who is here with us. So starting from you, Madam,
Assalamu
brief
alaikum.
introduction.
My name is Muhammad Abdu. I'm the founder of Talks and an ecosystem. I'm excited to be here with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. I would also like to give the mic to another fellow to give us a brief introduction of who you are. Right?
My name is Sharada.
All right, so one more person. Someone from the web. Um, right. All right, thank you very much. Thank you for coming. So basically, before I call upon our speakers to carry us on, I'd like to know why we are here. So that we give a more rough estimate of what we are doing here, right? So the theme for the event, modern technical tools, trends, and industry expectations. Now, as a text expert, or maybe someone that has ventured into tech, it is very important that you understand which direction should I actually take in order to make my work more efficient. Is it just enough for you to like put in the hard work in the wrong direction? What I mean is that have been done in the past. Is it enough for you to just keep grinding? Maybe ignoring the modern tools that are available to you. Is that enough for you to excel in the industry? Or do you actually need to make yourself aware of the recent trend, what is going on? So you'll agree with me that some of these things that you need to know are not things that you just sit down on your own and come up with. There are more likely things that someone has experienced, has followed a certain path, and he feels like, okay, maybe if I venture into this path, maybe if I learn this tool, if I make it easier for me to do my job, it might make my work more accessible to the general audience, right? To improve my visibility, right? That's kind of like why we are here. For you to hear from some of the industry experts, for them to sort of like give a direction. Okay, it's good to do it this way, but it will be better for you to do it this way. Or it's better. Since our first speaker is here to join us, I would like to call upon our second speaker, the person of Mr. Muhammad Hashim, is a software engineer and he has been in the industry actually for many and he has been a lot. And please a round of applause for Mr. Muhammad. So Mr. Muhammad Hashim, we have 20 minutes. For the first 15 minutes, and then the last five minutes will be for question.
How about you? My name is Muhammad. I'm a software developer. I'm 10 years of experience. I think I do UI UX backend and frontend. So we start since we have AI now, everybody I think is a company with the way of this so for automation, computer itself is an automated right? It's an automated method. Instead of doing things in the manual way, you reflect, for example, the milking pressure. You have that of your five of doing it with the hands. You use that computer. Computer you can do what it's doing, right? If I sit down in my body, of a letter in the past, once, you do it another time, if you are trying to write, right? Then you for the computer, you just do it in 6 times. That just over with precision and time saving. Some extra hours. If I take this copy the hand until you put it to the get high and then you stop it. So for anything that you calculate out, what will you put in terms of the measure for is how it tells you are in the group and how are you at the information, are you there and then how efficient are you. So the past, most of the time, you can cast, you break it down by the points of this, and then you put in the but nowadays you have step that you can automate and select. So let me give you one example. Automation is about problem solving. For all the AI tools that we are using, for anything that is doing, that has an action. What changes is the way you look at the problem, or how you look at the problem is. So, I live with my brother, who I speak in with my brother. So, that is the problem. So, I speak with my brother, and you are looking at how you develop it's better going to be also somebody say I'm okay, I'm not going to so I so what I'm saying I evidence that somebody is going to give me so that I will know really I can so I said to myself, okay, what I'm going so that if I call, I can right now I do the if I put it out, I was and then listen to the right. Is it visible? That you know, this actually levels of problem solving that like and you can see the power of and the power of the problem. I'm afraid of it's about that. So I said to myself, I do have 8 hours. How am I going to short those 8 hours? Anything instead of listening to the 8 hours, what I listen to that, what I can do is I can abstract, right? Which in times two. So I can put it in my these 4 hours. I get what is not. I cannot just sit it down just to find out like my go there. So it should be on someone else. So at the back of your mind, having this and something right is too much. That's what we need for that some part of your mind. The acceptance criteria you want should be less than. So I say, okay, what if I can so you as somebody who where any use of technology, I should have learned some voice code WhatsApp. You will see why somebody talks right on the waves. Somebody who talk for one time, yes, you can see that it's just like so what if I put the recording in the video or audio is something all the places that I'm inspired, it means like I directly see for the content of the recording. Why is it that there exists some spikes in the pipeline for that kind of thing? So now, how many hours do I have now? That's the equal is 30. So you can see I'm shorting problem now with various people. Those who are, for example, because sometimes there will be noise, you just look at a particular segment of the audio and it's not what it's not a talk, probably it's a buzz or somebody just knocking the door. So you can actually give it to an AI now, right? All you need to do, Google have actually created this audio AI able to do all this activity, whereby you can create an audio and then it will give you back all the text. So that's why we have that video continuum. So now you can see how many level of problem solving we did. From me listening to the 8 hours, to reducing it to 4 hours, to now putting it on a software, and now to giving it to AI. What drives the problem solving to go down further to acceptable criteria is the sheer volume of the work. In terms of I cannot work for 8 hours, I cannot work for 2 hours. So sometimes when it comes to automation, it's not about having the facilities. It's about doing it like more times than you want to do it. And one of the best way to think or to decide whether you are to use AI or not. Because we have this idea that for any time I want you to be task, just use AI. That's not proper. And I'll tell you why. Because of the constraint. If you have limited amount of data, you will finish your token very fast, right? And then it's not always the case to using resources that you could have used otherwise. So there are steps to find out whether you are to use AI or not. And it's general step for any task. It's called delegation. If you want to delegate any task, because if you are giving work to AI, you are delegating your task. In the past, if you cannot do the work, you give it to somebody. And how do you do a delegation in its best form? Is to actually break down the task into I want you to do this and do this and do this so that I can achieve this, right? And then you tell the person, do this, don't do this. I want the result to look like this. I don't want you to follow this route. So what are you actually doing now? You are defining constraint, the path, the acceptance criteria, and the goal. So these are the good ways to delegate. Because in the past, if you give the task to somebody and the person has his own way of solving the problem and he gives you back the task, and if you know that's not how I want it, that's bad delegation. Because he has to go back and do it. Now you're giving him the information again. And you can find this out. I mean, you can find this way of doing tasks with people when they are working with AI. They will give AI the minimum amount of information. When the result comes back, then it's not the exact way they want it. Then they refine the task again, give back to the AI another promise to the task again, and the AI will do it again, and then also way to the finish line. That's not the best way to do it because you'll be exhausting your talking, and then the context window, as you know, will be big that the AI will only remember the recent conversations, all the initial conversations the AI will forget about it. So the best way to find out whether you are to use AI is to find out whether you can break the task into its components and whether you are going to delegate the task for them. And then another thing to find out is this that's far better for any task of it, people is going to do it better than you are going to do it delegate. And is it a task that you're going to do tomorrow, another day, another day? If the task is not going to do, or if the task is going to be complete, it's over. Okay, so three things. Find out whether you can do it faster, better than you delegate. Find out whether you continue to do it over again. If not, delegate. So that's when you bring in AI. But if you can do a task better than AI, then you use AI. Use it starting to don't be lazy anymore for some reason because that's just do the bare minimum. So it's not every task that you give it to AI or you need a task that needs to be a task that you can every time you do your time is other things. But actually, one of the things that organization, the first step to able what is so with all the training as a AI, all the chat, it doesn't like what they do actually they tell people in somewhere right and people live volume is not they have to apply for something like agriculture, file or media, right? So we have a particular project that we are having right now. It's about practical projects. Projects are happening around the area. So now the projects that are documented they are in paper. So you have to do the automation and it involves hard guided materials. Those kind of materials you can use. So in the work that I did in the past, applying to another. So there are things kind of you can just give paper just like here. You slot it, the papers, and then the machine will scan. And you will put it on the machine. You see that's the information. But the types how we can so we have to use our phones because if you use photocopy machine, so we have to use our phone. And like 400 rupees. Then as limited some of the softwares price rate. If you do 200 rupees, you have to pay for the premium to do another 200 rupees. So now the tax has become a bit complicated. So you have to pay this two pages at once. So now instead of doing one, you have to do it again. You have to match the PDF. So we are trying to match the PDF. We find out we have to match from other proprietary software. And why do this come to take manipulation? We are going to take it to somebody on the cloud and look at it over there. So we need to and then format the PDF. Any picture that you take in your mobile phone is mostly 95 MB, 5 or 50, right? Depends on the resolution. So multiply it, let's say 50 or 200. We have that defined that is 2 gig of size. Those softwares are meant to optimize. The RAM is too big. You cannot optimize a file size of 2 gig. The browser has to do the phone has to do. So you are all beta with. So now it comes to a point whereby so in how can we combine the video? I say, okay, see, we have a code and we have a instruction. The software doesn't want to upload to you. And we don't even want to upload. So now what is our goal is to find out the software or to just match the PDF. We say, the job is just match the PDF. Why don't we need to write out? Because we have another libraries that we generate PDFs. If you build any system, we generate PDF for the codes from keyboard. And I said, okay, can this library programmatically also be able to combine? You say, okay, that's why we don't that are building the software that are programmed what they are using. I said, okay, now software problem. Then we write the script, we write a few PDF files, and it moves them together. And the lot of our mind is information. We have a constraint. The constraints are not anything. These are the things that guide you. If not because of the constraint with another software that limits our life, we would have used our life to a high level. Spend time, we will have wasted our time because you have to upload, you have to process, then you have to download. So the constraint really us to build our own software to match the people. So that's what is the part of it. That's just digitization. Yes, we actually now we have to provide data that are analysis into an Excel. That's another automation button. You cannot upload to this site in 2 hours. All these types APIs. And then the image of digitization is a non problem. If you have a photo of an image, you make here you can search in the because it's an image. So you have to make it OCR. I mean, you have to OCR software to create it. So that you can really give it to AI. So that's another part of automation. But it does not work like that. Yeah. So you can see these are challenges that you do when you are trying to solve that problem. So we say, okay, let's find out a way. So that's what if I can take the screenshot of a particular date, I can take the photo and give it to it, make it what usually it's not optical recognition something. Keep in mind text. When I have the text, then I give it to an AI so that it can put it into your file. So automation is good. So the more you can solve problems, the more you can automate some the problem. The problem is people today I have to automate the entire thing. You cannot do that. Break it down into components, find a place you get to work on, you can intervene, and you can be part of the process. Automation is not about adding loading, it's about humans, it also be part of the process. So that's about automation. Yeah, so don't focus more on the AI. AI is the problem. You are the problem. How the problem when you can use any tool to help you automate.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause, please, for I think you are going to see some parts. You are taking us through the process of Alright. When should I use AI, right? Spoken on that. Then how to use it. Like how do you use it? What language do you want to use? Particular procedure that will give you the purpose of saying that solve problems. That is the goal, right? Trying to solve a problem. So when you encounter a challenge and you look around and you see that there isn't actually a particular software used that is suitable for you to solve that particular challenge, you can come up with your own. And you don't have to look at the problem as a whole, you can break it down into parts, right? And just solve that part that you are targeting. So question and answer. We have 5 minutes for question and answer. So I have my first speaker. Those on the call, you can also raise up your hands there to ask a question. Your name and then the question.
My name is Alfonso. So I have a question about your book, subscription. So what I'm asking is what are the major ways that we can create and what can we do in order to solve the problem process for ourselves and then give the other parts to the AI? And what are the parts that we can solve ourselves and what are those parts that we can give to AI so that the AI can multitask perform it as well?
All right, thank you. Our speaker, should we take all the questions first, then you answer them?
So, what comes to AI now, what I don't think now, what I tell myself is to slow down because everybody is speeding up. And at the trade off, it's a trade off. If you speed up, you are going to make mistakes. Low quality is what we are comparing when you use AI. So, if you are willing to speed, you have to combine speed and accuracy. Do it right, do it once, so that you have more time and then you don't have to come back and try it again. So optimize for quality. When you optimize for quality, when you are saying I'm doing for quality, all the things will fall into place, even the speed. Because if you find the quality that you want, you do it, you accept the quality. If you didn't define it with quality, you will just find, okay, let me do the cost now. But I think the cost now, the second traffic, you optimize it. Sometimes it works like that. But just forget about speed when it comes to AI. Or what you use AI is anything that is not thinking, anything that is doing the work, you use AI. But when it comes to thinking, they use AI. You can help people use AI to have your thoughts bounce back. What I mean bounce back is talk to the AI that you have a conversation with someone. Tell the AI that there's somebody who is near them. You don't know what you have to tell the AI. Other conversations, you have it from your head, you think about it, then you do that. But if AI gives you a judgment, you do it right, you do it different. After the simple AI has done, or it has have like the cloud is trying to be into something. If you give AI clouds, it will give you prompts when they are simple. AI will understand that simple, and then it will give you prompts. Look what AI is going to do. So read whatever AI gives you back. Read it like thoroughly. Before I do any that this, I go to the net and give it all the time so it will produce a simple document. I have to read that document. If there are any revisions on the program, I will do it. If you produce another 10-page document, I will do it. But when I do it with AI, I do it once. No mistake, no problem. That's because I read it out. I refine it before I do it.
All right. All right, so you had it. Don't outsource your thinking to AI, right? Think for yourself and then AI will make you work. So next question. All right. Your name and the question.
Okay. So, what you are hearing is about one perspective. What I would say, people that are using the AI and how to sell the AI. That's what the things that are going to happen now. Remember the blessing of this when it comes to AI. So companies are actually trying to clear implementation. What we call implementation is there to be part of your organization. Because even the AI companies now are highly engineers to better the AI. What does that mean? People are still needed. People are still needed. And not every part of AI is actually needed. Yes, in the military, cloud and probably say that in the military part of work, AI is not supposed to be there. That is a conscious decision in terms of the areas that are global areas that are also sensitive and that. Likewise, the companies should have also some more areas whereby we can say customer support based on my human being out. I don't know. We can decide as a party that I don't want to use AI for my business. So all the parts that I hear now in the social media is the lowest part, it's the BC part. They are trying to solve the AI to depend on. But when it just it's still human beings that are contributing to this AI. Are we building the AI for AI? We are building the AI for who use. Yes. We are building so it's like okay, if layer of you are people, they don't have a job. Who is the person that is going to have the money to go and buy whatever it is that we are buying? Our customers support you later on. They don't have the money to go and buy shopping. But yeah, who's going to be shopping? The privileged person who doesn't have money. So there is this cycle that we have to tell ourselves in the economy in terms of using the AI. How much you optimize? We still need somebody to come. AI and start treating themselves. AI is they only use GPUs at the time. So they are not being part of ourselves. Canada are doing this policy. They have some good jobs that say you know what to do. You too as a person like automation also have so it's noise. It's noise. AI is not still not good. I use AI on cloud. I didn't feel like AI is here. We have talked about use AI on cloud, but it's terrible. Using the entire database. I just say what you can just be so it's just the database. Don't go to the cloud. You have to type in like me. That's not a good way when you want to create that good from. For me, I test the way we get to schedule. That's why it's different. So the assist approach that we are using to figure out. Somebody who is thinking like to get a job. Maybe that's why probably you don't have a job. Not because they have because somebody has AI and this is very good that you will not use AI a lot of time. Not because the AI has a different.
All right, thank you very much. Please, another round of applause for Madam Ahmed. We'll call you back for the final discussion later. All right, so you've had it. You are still safe for now, except if you refuse to adapt. Agree? So let's adapt. Let's go together, right? So, food. It's a good one. The founder and creative technologies, and he's going to be taking us on industry expectations, workplace standards, adapting to modern trends, and remaining competitive in today's ecosystem, followed by the Q&A. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Kuba.
So, Mark, is the because technology, before I say tools, brand design, UI, UX, I code, I create websites, so like I'm all around. So at this point, I just use these technologies because that's what that fits me best. So I'm showing you house, I'm doing a lot of nice space. I'm showing you have so nice space. I'm sure we have like the class in the house, we have about 2 in the house.
Developers in the house, please.
Developers.
Be proud of.
We are designers. We are graphic designers. Okay, we are content creators in the house. Um, I need to raise the house. It doesn't look around.
Okay. I expect everyone to know.
Thank you very much. So basically, what we are, I place modern workplace system productivity and tools. Basically, this is like how we used to work before and how we work now, and what is basically anticipated of us. So, looking forward today, how work has changed, how people are adapting, and what to stay positive today. Because the concern out there is really, really crazy. Because our concern has to work with both companies abroad and both companies internationally. I want to come to the country I still work with. I start my own firm, I start under me. So basically, I'm not trying to there's a lot of competition. So you have to really, really break up. It's not easy to do and you feel so, I think what we have to program because basically we a lot of work and when people have certain systems use to ensure you deliver high quality of work around. Like for example, in our agents, sometimes after fail ways to clients, you already know what you do and there's already set up what you want. Because when you approach our work, there's a certain level of qualities. That's why we have the work through. So you cannot just be talking left and right, and how you work. You have to have an actual system on how you do things. Basically, that's what it's so talking about. So why is it important for you to have a modern system? Because we work faster. This work faster, we deliver accurate, we deliver quality. So it's highly important that you have a modern working system. Now, how are you working before and how are you working out our stage? A lot of us have jobs and really that let us know something that happened before and what's happening at the moment. So traditional methods of working before when we use paper and sorry, or now we have cloud and drive and rest for storage. Now, instead of always having things like this, we have two people who have two people also that really all the way around the world was still able to work with us and still to be with them. That's that. But instead of manual tax tracking, we have product management tools that we can use to say, okay, I'm particular stage, I'm in particular project, a particular contract, basically. So instead of only focusing on creator, we have hybrid that's big here and remote. Instead of slow approvals, we also have real-time approval. And instead of going to wait for your boss to be scored, you can just test and get your move forward with this. So extra definition of the workflow approach. I'm going to give a practical example personally with this. So when I started my intention, I started my initially right to the code and the rest. So now depending on that approach, any clients that make that comes to us and want particular solution, start immediately checking some clients are okay, we can code this, but no, what is the approach? The approach should be ideal already systems that are only particular business, particular clients to them. If there are, why don't we go for that instead of going to that? How many sense instead of jumping into particular check because there are already systems that are available that can solve certain problems. People have used it to solve the problems. So when you business person and you yourself who or a particular company work with that, instead of we should use this approach, I think we should use a certain approach because this already exists and will sometimes start doing it faster. Because say, for example, if clients goes to the developer and they need the website and he goes the particular thing because he knows that he has to code all these features from scratch. But if he needs someone that has a tool to just purchase, the developer can say, I'll pay 6 months. And then I say, I'll pay 2 weeks. Who defines keep jobs? To me, obviously, what I just 2 weeks. And is it because I'm super smart? No, because I'm going to use a tool that already exists. That's what capability. Being able to find the deepest accurate solutions to the problem. All can all be all talk about our design, our work, and how it helps to solve and keep the company with what. Remember, you are they are trying to provide service to a business person. So find the best shot to that service to that person. So now personal tools and systems that we use for this for collaboration. We have tools like Slack, we have WhatsApp, we have Google Meet, we have Zoom. Show what our systems. So for collaborations and all. Then for design, we have tools like Figma, Adobe Creative Suite, Canva. Whereby obviously that's that account for sure. You can make a design and can comment and have another design and your team come and check see work. That must make the workflow faster. Even your boss can drop it from that particular site skill without having to be a designer. So that's one way so for automation, we have tools like Zapier, Navio, Mail Automation, basically. So I think again that also that helps for which people to move forward and to become effective is that as a creative, as a technology person, you need to know more than your staff. I'm not making sense. You need to know more than your tech tool, more than your code base, more than your camera, more than your photography, more than your work base. Because definitely, I believe the end of the day, apart from providing value and creativity, she all tries to for survival and advancement. So the other was actually know creative skills and actual business decisions. I don't know if I'm making sense. So apart from the tools, you need to actually be reading books on business. Okay, for example, I work with clients that runs an e-commerce store that not just goes to like $50 very monthly. So I'm ready to go to involve in actual business meetings, even though I was working at a manager. You understand? That way, I'm providing more value than my own. I'm not sure that when I was looking to bring someone else on board, if I'm not working with them again, I'm trying to get someone that has that business skill apart from just in technological skill to play to manage the website. So you need to know more than your staff. Have actual business experience. Even now, the experience free. Go to business skills. That will eventually be able to actually stand out and for the effective. Moving forward, then the downside of the modern schools are there are a lot of distractions. You know, you're on your phone, there is just everything there that arrives and we should be able to last jobs, focus on class, not on time. Then there's also the issue of our eyes. This is a great practice. We use our laptops very often. Please use great practice. Really wrong. Because typically I was in my office, one of my colleagues was around, it's like below 50. And I was straight up for him to see. And I was like, I'm too many more for you to see. I was like, see. He said, see. I said, don't need my eyes down. We spend hours on our screens, we spend hours on our laptops, on working, inside our phones. So we really try to make our eyes downstairs of that. So sharing outside practical experience about moving forward. That for example, once you go about what school, how to like this. So I say, around the same time, we talk about the complete job of the one who made the grass, where I believe they are inside. So I'm going to work with like, so that's another client, schedule the meeting with their units. Another reason that unit, we discuss the client's expectation and roles and suggestions. After that, we set that question. We have a time base already. Since what it was a repetitive work, we have a time base because we want to do it already for that. So let's make a use that time base and change the size of the size and what about the move forward. Now, where can we move forward? Now, we in one of the outside brief to design team. It doesn't be that brief on the human aspect before it. We will see how the people. And plus, everyone's already invited that as well. Believe me, this is what we want to do. We all just stay working on it together. The attack to society, never been guided. You want to approve and continue. So that's the way I control. What I'm saying, have a particular system where I use from client to your team, product to get everything all. The idea of ability is also making you move forward. Please join the community. Join a particular community, because you will not community. So when you have people around you, you're able to know what's the training tools. Actually, the first speaker is someone that was talking my mentor that said mentoring me. When I was on my own doing things, more time to do this. When I started with him, the power percentage of access and he that experience told me do it like this instead of doing it like that. So it's very, very important to go to adapt and to move forward. Be a part of the community. So that will be the problem.
Another round of applause for our speaker. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dalawan, who is one of our speakers. All right. So we have one. I think the first thing he emphasized on was do your research, right? If you get a job, don't just go and start from scratch. We are at a level now that you don't have to actually do everything from scratch. It will be a waste of time. Do your research. Find out how much has been done on this particular aspect. Then know how you can add to it, right? So do your research. And I'm sure another thing he talked about was don't don't be isolated. Try to diversify and gain knowledge from places, right? For example, just because you are a software engineer, it does not mean that you should not gain knowledge on product management, right? For example, if you are a software engineer, if you get employed, you are still going to work with a product manager. Right? Product manager. He might send you work on maybe tools like Asana or Trello. So just because you are a software engineer, does that mean that you should not familiarize yourself with those tools that is being used in business development? You have to familiarize yourself. You have to expand your knowledge, your right? How am I communicating? And finally, we made mention of some tools multiple times. Please try to familiarize yourself with those tools. They are very important. For example, you don't just restrict yourself to meetings, physical meetings. Get to know this in virtual Google Meet, which is better, which is more efficient for what I'm trying to achieve, right? So try to familiarize yourself. So we are going to have 5 minutes question and answer. If you have questions for the speaker, just raise up your hand. I will bring the mic. You can ask your questions and we'll do justice to this. Your name and question. He's a student of cybersecurity. He wants to diversify into product development, right? Business development, software development. So he needs your advice.
Firstly, why do you want my solution? Because you are still your friends around. Or kind of family. You know this situation ISC2. I mean, I think it. So basically, we have to talk about career change, for example, now. People don't talk about career change. So sometimes before we consider career change, is that every particular there's a lot of people around us doing that particular career. That's why we don't want to do it. So we have a lot of personal competition. But most times, when you consider career change, what comes up is that look at the top professionals that have a particular career. What are they doing? How are their lives? I don't know if you get me. What are they doing? And how are their lives? Sometimes making a career change may not be very sure. But it's for cybersecurity. There's even there's a very high demand for cybersecurity experts because of the use of AI and a lot of people shipping new value products. So there's actually been a high trend for that. So most times what you want to really consider is professionals in your particular industry, are they doing very well? If they are, what are the reasons why you don't want to do what they are doing? Then by that to make a more informed decision. But that option that in Nigeria, that's not the issue. There's high demand for professionals in this country. There's high demand for it.
All right. I'm going to answer the question. So someone was raising up hand. Your name and the question.
Hello, my name is. I have actually two questions. So the first one is, in terms of mission systems, what would you say is the one thing such that by doing that one thing, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? And then the second part is, what what would you say is the biggest piece of advice you give to a younger version of yourself?
So, first of all, it all depends on what's your goal. What's your goal? What are you trying to achieve in that particular system? So, I'll use my own industry as an example. Basically, since I run an agency, we provide solutions to business people. So, if my goal is to provide solutions to that particular business person, all our activities is going to be centered around does this action solve this problem for that client? Does this action solve that problem? Because as creatives, our final work is problem solving. So when we have that at the back of our mind, every action is going to tell you on how we're going to solve that problem. Okay, for example, now I'm a speaker today. It's going to be well today. If no, I won't do that. But it's reading and preparing for this going to help me to answer best. Yes, I will do that. Because usually ask is more like a direct question. So I think that's that basically. So always having your goal back of your mind, even from the beginning of a particular project or product or action, always helps you solve that particular problem. Then support the younger me, I think I'll give to myself, the younger me will be collaborative. Collaborative. It's good to be competitive. I want to do things yourself. But I'm telling you, collaborate. It's going to take you lesser time to do things, actually do things well. Because we are not meant to be like that. We are meant to collaborate. We are meant to put, like, be involved with other people and solve other people. So I'll tell myself, never mean that. Collaborate with people. Because I think when I started collaborating more with people, my whole life took a more collaboration is
So finally, we are going to be taking one more question. One more question for the speaker before we move to the next. Anyone with a question? Thank you, sir. I just need clarification as well. What is this conception that I added? I think it's like a fact. Yeah. About this thing is that there is a movement that is evolving, which is saying that if you have less experience, if you are less educated, if you have less experience, eventually you cannot compete in this working industry. So it's really true.
So actually, you cannot underestimate the fact that experience helps people. Experience helps businesses to solve problems faster. I always mention business because at the end of the day, that's what separates what we do as creatives, solving problems. So the ultimate thing is this basically. Having experience really helps. At the end of the day, a lot of times business people still look for attitude in a particular person. Because what experience you have, if you have a poor attitude, you won't people won't want to work with you. I don't get my point. So having experience really did play a very vital role. But again, the attitude.
Anina Lawal, whom is a cloud engineer to the program to share with us some of our experience. And then she will be speaking on discussion on modern workflow systems, productivity tools, and how work processes have evolved over time. Then followed by, of course, the brief Q&A. So, Ajahina, you're welcome. Your round of applause for her. Yeah.
because of you AI people, which I'm going to come back to talk about. Now, when we talk about how technology has evolved, before, what was the process, right? Let me say in the let's say 2000 era. I don't think any of you here was working in 2000, to be honest. But everything was very manual. You had to work, everybody had to be in the same building to work. You had emails, right? If something was not signed up on, the project would not move forward. Everything was very, very static. And then came 2010. We started having things like Google Drive, right? That was created by Google. Dropbox as a storage system. You know, if those storage systems started coming up, we didn't need to do this things physically in data centers anymore. So it's got interesting. For cloud, one of the pioneers of cloud was AWS when they created their S3 bucket, which is also a storage bucket in 2006. So we have all these processes in mind, right? Then things kept evolving. In 2001, I think, who knows project management methodologies here? Project management methodologies, anybody? Can anybody list one? Where are the students? You should be doing this in school. Project management methodologies. Should I give a hint? Okay, we have something called the waterfall model. Who can give me another one? Thank you very much. We have Agile. Anything else? Huh? Few? Okay, yeah, we have the V model. Good. Anyone? I want you to list something, like to mention one. Think. Yeah, we have to talk down, but I'm not loud. I'm surprised. Spiral. Thank you. Spiral. The spiral model led to what? People now do it as a job. From spiral model, we created what? It's a mindset, but we do it as a job. Shall I just mention it? It's a 6-letter word. Let me give you guys a name. 6-letter. It was concatenated from developer and operations. Operations. Exactly. The DevOps model, right? The DevOps, after the Agile in 2001, the Agile model was, I think it was Utah in 2001, 17 people signed a document that, oh, we're going to be doing this model, right? That's where we started from. And what did it do? It evolved into what? DevOps. We have so many models like the iterative model, the V model, Scrum, everything. There's so many models, but it moved into DevOps, right? And the DevOps is what? Is to close the gap between the developers and operations team in deploying features fast to the market. After that, we moved into a generation of something that happened recently. So we had all this manual process, we had this how we used to deploy things before, DevOps and all of that, but something happened and everything changed, and that is why we're here today. Who can guess what that was? Something happened, a shift in the industry. It was so huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, artificial intelligence, but what started it? Artificial intelligence has been happening for how many years? ChatGPT. Thank you. In what year?
2020.
Exactly. In November 2022, Sam Altman came. I remember his tweet, and it was like, I think, we built something, ChatGPT, check it out, or something. And that was it. By 2023, what happened? People came in. Google said we had Gemini. Okay, that's interesting. What came up next? Copilot. What came up next? I know this. It's still a baby. This thing started, I think, last year. Exactly. But we had Claude came up, Anthropic, right? They came up. Before you know, we started having LLMs integrated into systems, productivity tools like Notion. Does Asana have an AI? I'm not in my 3 years. But this thing started being integrated, right? So that showed us that things had changed. We're now in the AI industry. So coming from where we're coming, right, whereby everything had to be done in a very stoic, slow process to where we are now. So I want to ask you guys a question. How many of us actively use AI tools in our workflows every day? Literally, like 70% of you. Now let me ask you, how many of you are paying for those tools? How many of you are using the premium version of those tools? Okay, it's reducing. For those of you using the tools, are you using it in your workplaces? Or is this individual? Both. Okay. For individual, for those that use it in school, how many of your lecturers like it? For those that are using it at work, are your bosses aware of it? Are they supporting it? Do they pay for these tools? You don't even let them know. Now, how many of you work for Nigerian companies? Let's do an international job. We don't mean it. Hola! Most of us here will work for Nigerian companies, right? Because Nigeria has been kind of like blacklisted somehow on a global scale. We do get opportunities, but it's not as much as we should be getting, right? So let's say we have all of these restrictions in place. Now, in Nigeria, if you notice, we're behind. Why do I say we're behind? The way we are using these modern tools to improve our workflows is not really as efficient and cost-effective as possible. Why? One, our workplaces have refused to adopt this tool. Last year, I worked in a company, and even if you check my LinkedIn, the company is not there because I cannot claim it. But they were deploying their applications literally by copying the files from their local system to the server. Then they will install Nginx, right? And then deploy it like that. You know the last time people did that? I was telling the last time people deployed their applications like this. 18, 19, like that. It's been so long. But this is a company in Nigeria with thousands of clients that is having this kind of work. Now, when I went in, I felt like a blind person, to be honest, because everything was so outdated. How do I single-handedly build your infrastructure to be updated to the modern workflow? How? It's not possible. And they did not want to hire more people. Well, I did what I did and ran away. You have to pay me for some kind of work, and they were not willing to offer that. But I did my best. Now, as individuals, the company that I was working in, they had developers, but they did not pay, or they didn't make provision for workflows to help enable their system. When I joined, they were not using version control. They were not. This is 2025, I'm telling you. They were not using version control. They were deploying things on the server directly. There was no monitoring in process. There was nothing like observability, alerting, nothing like that, right? When maybe applications would be down, you have to go manually into the server and say, desktop-h, what's the usage like in 2025. And I started to notice this across almost all Nigerian companies that I have worked with. This is the problem. And who makes the company? No, who makes the company? Like, who makes a company very efficient, very good? Who? The employees. So you are the employees that are not doing the job, right? Why would you have this kind of workflow in 2025? It means I will assume that you as an individual, you're also not doing better for yourself. And of course, there's so many tools right now. That is why in my talk today, I'm going to make sure I do not mention any tool, because who is overwhelmed by all those tools? Because I know I am. Like, you wake up, you breathe. Cloud has released, what do you call it? Released a new feature that does this. I remember I tested Cloud Design. I saw it and I was like, please shift. I'm tired, right? We're overwhelmed by this thing, right? At the end of the day. But you as an individual, you have to, especially because we want to compete on the global scale, on the international level, right? A developer in Lagos can build and ship something with at the same rate and efficiency as a developer in London or Bangalore. Like, you can both make this happen. But as Nigerians, we have barriers in place. Like I said, we have to think about how to have constant power. How many of us here probably have bought Starlink or fiber of MTN or something? Like, we're trying so hard to solve these issues for ourselves. So now that if we have this out of the way, how can you as an individual become better? AI this, AI that, AI this. How can you leverage this work tools to build a very good workflow that is also cost effective? Because please, Claude is how much per month for the basic plan? $20. And you're using it, they're telling you, yeah, use your usage. Come back in 4 hours. Right? How many people can afford that? Let's be honest. For the students here, how many of you can? Now, if Nigeria we had like a better ecosystem, your school should be able to make provision of these things for you to use. In combining, we not tell them to not do their lectures or whatever they do, but it should be an add-on, right? Now, we have to do these things on our own. That is the fact. There are easier ways to use this productivity tools. There are easier ways to use this AI tools also, right? For example, I like something Cooper mentioned when he said you should try to automate things, and you mentioned Zapier, right? Now, Zapier has a free plan, I know, and there's also the paid plan if you want more features. But who knows that there's an alternative to Zapier? Like, ask me. There's an alternative to Zapier. Who knows that? Alternative to Zapier. Somebody there. Please, what's the name? Exactly. We have N8N, right? I have an NGO whereby we kind of try to ensure that we make tech skills available. One of the courses we worked on recently was N8N because it's free. It's there, academy.g3 when you're going to take it. But N8N is there. It's open source. It's free for you to use. Claude that we're talking about, there's a way you can deploy Claude locally on your system that will work for you, right? So there's still ways to use these things on a low cost level. And it's up to you to see how you want to leverage these tools to build a good workflow for yourself. For example, I am a platform engineer, cloud engineer. And I'll walk you through what I do, my own personal workflow. Who knows ClickHouse? Nobody? ClickHouse. That is amazing. Okay. Overwhelming to the ClickHouse has been here for like over 15 years probably. They've been here for quite a while. But we used to use ClickHouse for documentation, to create templates. The way you have Confluence. You know Confluence? Yeah, Jira, part of Jira. Again, multiple tools. You have to pick one to learn. And the good thing is once you know how to use one, the other ones will come easier to you, right? I use ClickHouse to manage my stuff, right? For documentation templates and all of that. And when I want to code or do anything, I normally use GitHub Copilot and with Cursor IDE sometimes. And I also use Claude, right? So I try to ensure that, okay, when I'm using my Claude, how effectively am I using Claude to do anything? I know most of you, how many models does Claude already have? Are these questions too technical? 3 models, right? We have what? Opus. Opus, Sonnet, and Opus, right? And which one is the latest one? But now you have 3 models. Each of them, they're good for a particular thing, right? Sonnet is good for what? Deep reasoning and adaptive thinking. Now, why will I want to brainstorm a project and I'm asking Sonnet, tell me this? What is Claude going to tell me? Oh, your usage is up in the next 30 minutes, right? But why not use the lower models for lesser tasks, like brainstorming? For, okay, I have something I want to do. Guide me on writing a prompt that will make my output better, right? So you need to learn how to use those models effectively as Nigerians. To do what? To save costs, because that is a big factor. I literally am on a group whereby people come and they're like, oh, please, I'm looking for people to join me to pay for Claude. People come, like 4 people come together. or I need to round up. What people come together to pay for one tool and all. So my own is, as you're learning to use these tools, there's one thing I want to say. Because whatever I say is for how we compete on the global scale. Using AI to work is very bad. As I'm telling you to learn how to use it. Depending on it is extremely bad. Who can tell me one reason why? One reason.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Garbage in, garbage out. And you go, you what they call it, people, that's data structure models, right? First in, first out. That's literally what we're doing, right? We're outsourcing our reasoning. It's good though. Outsource it, but do not depend on it solely. AI has limitations, right? Number one, we're talking about security. There are security issues that AI is going to bring in. Recently, an open source company, I can't remember their name, but they recently said they were moving from open source to closed source. Why? Because they said hackers can literally carry their code base, feed it to AI, and find vulnerabilities in their system and attack them. So cybersecurity, I said that look well, don't leave your field. Right? We have that. And then what else? Now, when developers go for interviews, I'm not a developer. I don't think anybody cares about what project you built. Because I can sit down and build mad-ass project right now with AI's help. Do I really stand out from everybody else? So what separates a good engineer from a great one? There's one thing, and what is that? Problem solving. Your ability to look at this issue, to think. If an AI builds it for you, do you understand what the AI has done? If the AI is not here, can you debug it? Because I remember that I think it was in my workplace last year, Claude went down for I think 5 hours, and one of my team lead was like, what do we do? Like, everybody was stuck. Nobody could move ahead with what they were doing. And is that not very bad? So we can use these tools to accelerate our work, to work better, but do not outsource your thinking. For example, now, AI can do most of the things. Like, I'm a platform engineer, right? And let's say Kubernetes. If I tell AI I want to create a Kubernetes cluster, maybe just give me the steps to do it. It's going to give me the steps to do it. But if something happens to that cluster, can I troubleshoot it? I'll have to go back to that same AI. So one thing we need to do for ourselves is learn how these things work in depth. That is what separates a good engineer from a great one. Understand the foundation. Please, read books. Read books. If you're in cloud and platform, come to me, I have books to give you. Read books to understand why, the what, and the how. When you understand it, you can then cross your leg and say, oh yeah, AI, do my job. Those are the only people that will not be replaced, because we have the whole thing about AI taking people's job. I don't believe that. I feel like what it will do is modify the job, create new roles, right? For example, when I started, I spoke about how I didn't like that Nigerians were generalists. Personally, I have a friend who was a DevOps engineer, and she decided to niche down to what? AI observability. See, what did I say? AI observability. What does she do? She only monitors. And I kid you not, she's in the UK now. I kid you not, she gets offers every day. So find the fields that are popping. I'm sorry, but if in 2026 you're going to become a UI UX designer, in 2026 you're just learning HTML and CSS. I'm sorry, but think about it again, right? There's so many
But I will say, there's this author, I can't remember their name, that wrote that I think who said multitasking is the pinnacle of stupidity. And my question is, at what point, I think at the beginning, you kind of need to be a generalist. You need to be able to wear multiple hats. But as you kind of grow your business and so on and so forth, you can kind of just, okay, I'm just going to wear this one hat. So at what point in that like timeline would you suggest that someone would take this? Whatever is happening, if you wear one hat, you get other people to wear the other hat.
Okay, so this is something I know. I think killing Nigerians is that a lot of us are freelancers. Trouble. Trouble. I'm pretty sure this is like half of the people know freelancers, right? And when we're freelancers, we get, sorry? Okay, so what I said was, one of the things killing Nigerians is the fact that in the sense that half of us in this room are told freelancers, and when you're a freelancer, it's you against the world. You kind of need to. I think most freelancers are the ones stuck in the generalist position. But my right or wrong, you will be stuck there. When you work for an organization, they're not asking you. Sorry, I mentioned the house sense. Let me add that. Macros, right? There's no way they're going to ask you to do so many things. The company I currently work for, I'm on the platform team, and all we work on is one part of the application. There's another part, the AI and ML part. They are not once have we been invited to come and keep and see what we're doing. So I don't really need to kind of learn unless I want to transition into that path, right? So as most of us are freelancers, the honest truth is, all of us, most people are being sent to start. So how do I look at somebody that is trying to survive and tell them that, hey, don't do that, do this, when the ecosystem is not enabling with this for you? So, as is to answer your question, right, or to give an advice, I would always suggest that. I don't know, are you a freelancer or do you work in an organization? Both, unfortunately. Okay. So, I would advise that at the end of the day, you have to think about your 5-year plan, the bigger picture. We're normally so stuck in the now that we skip our thought process of 5 to 10 years from now, what am I supposed to do? What is going to be happening? For me now, my 5-year plan is to stop coding, leave all this brouhaha, right? I want to go into management, into exec, the decision makers. And I have to make steps from now to get there. And what is one of my steps? I know I have to go and get a master's probably in entrepreneurship or something, right? I have to learn for my future. So like this, you have to ask yourself, what is your bigger picture? What do you see yourself doing 5 years from now? Do you see the industry 5 years from now still enabling your generalist skills or still enabling your specializations? In this world, I think life is a gamble. You win some, you lose some. So you have to decide what is worth winning. It's literally like a game of Russian roulette. Click, pull the trigger. It might work, and it might not work. But you have to be honest. What is the industry is shifting? Either you shift with it or it shifts. So, like this, you can tell me maybe later on in depth when you do your qualifications and food, and I can probably give you a shout advice on what I think about whether you should specialize in certain parts or continue in your generalist path and it works. Sometimes at the end of the day, this is helping, right? Having knowledge of other things. But to be honest, the way the world is moving, nobody cares whether you're going to do it. They just want to know what is that one thing that you are extremely good at, and that's it.
So at this juncture, due to time restraints, I would like to call upon our 3 speakers So this is what we are going to do. Please, our speaker. Yes, function of your agenda. So there was this thing that we put into the agenda whereby there are these conversation starters that we are supposed to talk about, right? So due to time limitation, this is what we are going to do. I'm going to pick up the topic, and then one of the speakers will have a go at it. Just give us his general view as an expert, give us his expert opinion on it, right? And then we are going to move on to the next conversation starter. Are we together? Is that okay with you, my speakers? All right. So it's not as if we have an order to this. We can just indicate. Anyone that wants to have a go at it, some of our speakers can just indicate. So the first one here is that Nigerian education curriculum versus job market reality. Now, I know it might be too late for us here, right? Most of us have already gone through the curriculum. It's too late, but we have brothers, we have sisters, right? We have sons and daughters that we might actually like to maybe use a different approach, or maybe a better approach, right? So who wants to have a crack at it? All right, it's a good one.
I think we are using a curriculum for 2026 or 26 program. So seriously, actually, there's a very, very big gap between what the curriculum is and what's happening. Like, a whole lot, it's a whole lot. Like, I think the day I had, like, talking about if we can take students on some courses because what they are teaching them cannot really be used practically. So there's a really, really strong difference differences between what is being taught and what we actually need to do to actually succeed at the moment. So they need to be some really drastic policy changes to make sure that some people actually move forward and be able to compete globally. I know those in forest we already have people and thinking about how to use AI tools, how to use certain tools. But except maybe you are in Nigeria and you are going to a very, very expensive school before you can even have access to a computer system. With the computer system first before you have exposure to different tools. So I think a lot has to really be done in a scalable way to use all this program.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. Though I won't let you go yet, I had you made mention of there might be some private schools that are an alternative, right? But I would still like you to advise the poor one among us that cannot afford to take our children to those private schools. What other things do you believe, do you feel we should do? Like, okay, is it that extra lessons, and if we are doing extra lessons, which direction are we going for? Give us some hints, please.
So this particular one still addresses down to the point I made earlier when I was speaking. Join a community. I'm sure Sapphire has community, right? A matter community and all. So join a community like those around there, join Sapphire's community. So that you be involved with what's happening. That way you can have access to certain tools and certain exposure. Because if you are in any place you are located, join a particular community. If you are based around Portugal, Java, my own company, we have a community there also. So that's one of the major things. Join the community.
All right. A round of applause for you. So you have heard from him, join a community, right? So you can get in contact with me or Usman Kori or any of us to join our community if you are close to us. Then, of course, other communities that are closer to you. Also, I would like to share something with you guys. So, how many of you here are aware of the TT program that is currently ongoing? Some of you here are aware of it, right? Do you know that there was two kids, a 12-year-old and I think a 10-year-old, that their parents actually enrolled them for the TT program? I was surprised, like, but the parents have actually thought of, okay, it's wrong. These people put their restriction on age. Okay, let me get my kids in there. They are thinking of the future, right? Not just the curriculum at home, but for them to create awareness for these kids to join and see what is happening. right? So that is also one of that. So secondly, political and policy barriers to technology growth. So the speaker is going to speak on political and policy barriers to technology growth.
This is a special topic to me because I have been involved in a lot of policies that have been worked on in Nigeria. Let's say from 2026 to now. And one thing is, to be honest, Nigeria, they are trying. If you're in the room, so you see this work happening. This Nigerian youth fund, Sapphire Hub, I think that's someone that's saying somewhere earlier, right? They come together, they gather people, I can see that in some cases. I know I said somewhere. They come together, they gather people, they sit down, they map policy, easy, and set the Nigerian Startup Act, 2022 and started it. Now, after, yeah, before that really started doing like stakeholder engagement and trying to roll it out into the other places. But let's believe, apart from Lagos and Abuja, so there's a whole issue of other places inside line from Aquata to what should we call them? Tech giants, states of Nigeria or something. There are opportunities there for Nigeria, but not one. And also, the government is not really trying when it comes to policies, right? So recently, there's a startup I know, a fintech that wants to come up with a Johnson Nigeria. And why? They said that most of the things that were used is either from the south, right? I think money for your face that what their name waterway. Most of the houses are from the south, but tell me one northern family that has put something on the global stage. Is one.
Drop the mic.
You know, you have it and take off, right? But even if he has not gone that far. And when you ask why, it's because we do not have any system in place. The government is bringing people from China, France, the France government, they have this discussion about it. How can we talk to AI, the benefits of Nigeria, and all of that, and then like resist to go abroad and have. But this are the issues. Yeah, this happened, by the way, last year, I think, with Boston and France. All of them for you guys. They came in and they liked when providing one conversation about how to bring AI. So we have what? Bilateral barrier policies that we like I said, Nigerians do not even know how cloud providers are very reliable. And when you have this, when startups are coming up and say, okay, we have Galaxy Factory. And for startups coming up, we're going to give you like the way Google gives like 100K credits to start off, AWS gives credits to all of them, right? They give credits. Please tell me what Nigerian government has done in your startup. You build everything from scratch. You do everything on your own. Even the accelerator and incubator, I know Supply does accelerator and incubation, right? Even then, who's funding this?
NGOs.
NGOs. So where is the government? The government is not investing in pipeline. But kudos to the minister, right, also, for his 3MMT initiative. I personally, I swear to God, as today I leave here, I'm going to go and look for the monitoring report. I know I was following up, but I lost track because you know what the issue is? A lot of projects are started and then nobody's tracking it. You're not asking the government. That's Nigerian Startup Act we did some years ago. What's happening now? We start things, we leave it, and we move on. Then the next government will come, you say, well, the last government did not do anything. But they did. But where did it go? You don't track, you don't know. You know, the people that have discredit have discredit. So I really feel like we also need to hold the government accountable, ask questions. This pre-MMT program that has happened, what is the next step? Ask. You've trained talent. What do they do next? When you train talent, what happens next? When you train talent, what happens?
I think now they are moving to hiring. They have created a job portal to hire.
Now, how many?
Fellows.
3 million talents, tech talents. Please tell me what job portal, how many jobs? The government will try, but if they don't also focus on the other parts of creating infrastructures for startups to come up, who is going to hire these people? You open your startup before you even register it. Oh my goodness. Processes. CBN, if it's a fintech, CBN will tell you wait 6 months for approval. This is a startup I know that is going through this. They've been registered since last year. Like, what are we in? They are still waiting for CBN approval. When you finish, they'll come via tax, levies, take this, take that. So, like, no one just said recently, this is a terrible time for it. Thank you.
All right, another round of applause for. All right, so here is the next one. Nigerian talent competitiveness in the international tech ecosystem. One point, right? Yeah. You all right.
So I've seen the issue on social media, but I'm not on social media anyway to go and see what I'm talking about. This is the one group that they sent it.
That's not social media, guys.
Yeah, that's just social media. Yeah. So when it comes to Nigerians with global market, personally, I've never applied for any job, whether in Nigeria or abroad. Because I know it's so caution. You know, the kind of things that you have to do, and the one post that is changing now, it's just crazy to keep up with. So you just focus on one thing. You look at what you do. If the referral comes in, because most of the jobs that I've got are from people in the community, like you said, job community, because that's when you get the motivation. Yeah, somebody doing this. You can do this for him. I've had. He's done that in a particular place. And then, okay, so the job I got in Abuja, for the first time I did Abuja, it's the thing that I think will be just a registration. Somebody mentioned that somebody mentioned that okay, we need to do. That's when I actually go. From a mention, somebody that I met once, and you mentioned me somewhere else. So that's part of the thing. Join the community. But then you have to be that's what you do. And it has to be something that somebody gets result from. When it comes to the global market, Nigerians are equally forward, despite what the barriers that challenges in infrastructure we've had. But we are equally forward with somebody in Cucumber, somebody in Ukraine, somebody in any part of the world you can see Nigerians are the best. Go and find those that are working Amazon, Google, and many other companies. They are Nigerians and they are equally forward. And it's not like they have been fired or they are not with them. They just say, okay, let's do this. For their own personal mission, they think this is the route to go, and they did it. Despite of the fact that I will do it. So, when Nigerian companies to say they lack of the talent, that's just latently something that they just throw out there. What I wish the person did in terms of the money policy is this. So, we have a problem. Then let's stop it. And here, the report I read, the banks in Nigeria had a meeting that how is it that they are going to retain talent? So that's what the current message is. Because they are all leaving. There was a vision, an entire company, that entire IT division went to Canada after they've been promoted. So the promotion is not enough because it's because they demand it. We are not handed out the promotion because they think they deserve it. They have to ask for it. So, talent retention is another issue in Nigeria. It is because the greener officer is there. You have the talent, they don't want to pay for the talent. And even they are paying global salaries. I mean, how many developers do you think every day in Nigeria is coming and applying in the positions? That guy that went to 1, 2, 3, 4 times that he gets because the global talent is competitive space. Can you imagine if it's in Nigeria? The pool is very small. You will get the job and you will do the job. So what they ask or what they propose to the Nigerian companies or the fintech companies is let's train the developers. I say you send them and they will go. You don't send them, you keep them, they are bad. So it's like a big problem that we have because both the companies and the developers. So talent is there. Give and people and like a clear career path. I'm a junior developer. When I come and work for your company, at the end of every year we do appraisals, right? Because you have actually contributed to the company. you have actually added skills, right? Because we are trying. What is the next step? Okay, just like I'm having this interview right now, give me a job. At the end of the day, I'm not going to have another interview for you to move on to the next step. And what is the next step? Senior position, right? What is the salary? And how many people have been looking for that position? You have to tell people these things. You just don't employ somebody and keep him for junior developer for 10 years. And then he never grows. You didn't set the path. It's unreasonable to say people don't have a talent. Those people in your company that are junior developers in the money from that is talking about what is the path success for them to become senior developers. Did he mention about that? What is the internship program that he mentioned in terms of when you are interested in money? These are the paths for you to be employed. And we have slots like 5 slots every year. You guys compete. Did he mention about that? And what is his salary scales according to global talent? That's what I'm about. What is he paying his junior developers? He said he is paying senior developers 1.5. That's a bigger amount when it comes to global talent. That is for junior developer, 1 point something. And it's not like there are bonuses and perks. I'm not going to divulge some information that I cannot ascertain. But then when it comes to, I have been in projects where we do the UIBX, we do the complete demo. Then they hire somebody from India and UK because they deem you cannot finish it. They just padded the budget that since we are outsourcing it's going to too much. This guy was there to say any welcome person that is outsourcing for a project. For a Nigerian government person, they has to be from Nigeria, not from Russia. But are they enforcing the rule? They are not. So these are policies, the companies themselves, we are doing our best, of course. There are weaknesses. Somebody who is doing Yahoo is nowhere near tech. That's what it is. Somebody who is doing hookup culture, that's his own problem. It's not the right audience to talk about. How can we come and say that it's not no talent? Does he look at GT capabilities for the developer service? I mean, what is the category of the people that use service is appointed? Even the hiring process now is not good. Let me tell you, McKenzie will put in a particular research in terms of how you support a good developer. It's not going to go. There are some things that you can do better. Talent is something that you find, you get lucky, you find, and you will take. There is no clear definition of this is a talent or how much a talent. We can only approximate because lead codes, still companies are doing lead codes. Can you imagine? To find out how you can write a better code, whereby you will be hired in the company and you will be given an AI tool. Is it not broken? That's why I tell myself I will never do lead code. Any lead code exam, any company that says they do lead code, I do projects. I am good at what I do. I can get freelancing jobs or some contract with companies. And it's good to go outside and do on the company because that's when you get polished as a freelancer. Work in a corporate environment. Try as much as you want every year to see that you work in a corporate environment because that's when you get the new trends, the standard, the scaling, the English itself. Because if you don't brand yourself, when you work with an international company or with a well-established company, even the way you talk to clients or you present your work changes. So it expands your horizon. So keep doing what you do. Apply for the companies. Some people just apply for the company to see whether they can scale, whether they're up to the task. Not necessarily because they want to talk, but they think they have what it takes. So you have the talent, just keep doing. The naysayers are there, you will never move away from it. You just keep integrating. AI is here, integrate AI into your workflow because nowadays you cannot use AI to companies you don't arrive. So you give people even your total budget. I know if somebody who has AI Cloud Pro Max is a company and they give you every month for this subscription. So can you imagine this company doing it in their interview process? They will not. So the companies have to change. They will also adopt and change. Or we have already adopted, but they haven't changed.
Please, a round of applause for another company. So yeah, one justice to that. Sorry, I know you are sort of time is against us, right?
Yes.
So we just have one more subject of discussion. Should we proceed?
Yes.
Just one more. So in let's say 2 minutes because it's brief. It's direct to the point actually. In 2 minutes, out of our speakers, who can take on this point? Certifications and professional bodies, relevance and the impact. Because I'm sure a lot of us here today will say, is there any need for me to register with CPN? Is there any need for me to register with NCS? What value does it add to me? I don't know whether any of our speakers will like to speak on it. 22 minutes, please.
So for certification, please, how many people any certification? Please, I'm not talking about GenV, Google, Coursera, certification or two. Cybersecurity people. Do you have anybody who has certification? Nobody. Let me tell you something. No matter how people say certifications are not important, they're literally almost like 40% sometimes of the one. They need your CV. You need in your CV to pass the ATS, what they call that thing, scanner thing, to get to the next step, right? Though it is not a proof of skill, but it also depends on the type of certification. For example, those in cyber or cloud and all, please summarize our examples. Online you can. Like write a Kubernetes example and write CCAD, CKA, CKS. Thank you. Like those examples are very difficult, right? So when I have that certification and I go to the company, obviously the money is not small personalized yet, right? So it's so good. But the thing is, we Nigerians, we like it's our paparazzi culture. We like to show off. We like my mom calls it look me I'm fine, right? We like to look nice. So a bunch of us we have certification. I'm sure that people on Coursera don't process every gathering them. But these things are not proof of skill. And it's not every certification that is also important. Most of the certifications we take are very important. As we pay for this Kubernetes certification I'm talking about is 400 and something dollars. That is almost how much. So you put your money, go and pay for it, please pay. So they know you put in the effort. So when you have this certification from good bodies like Linux Foundation, they're good bodies, you're more established. When you have the AWS certification, it's good too, but I don't think it really goes much value. And you do not need certification across every single thing. Some people will go and do HTTP certification, go and do Azure, go and do AWS. Why? Take one, be good at it. Also, have projects that show the work of that certification. If you take a Kubernetes certification tomorrow, please have the evidence of the work that you have done that proves that that certification you really did. Also, there are things people do now whereby you pay people in India. Indians, I salute them. Anyway, you pay them, they write the exams for you. Like no matter when you're writing the any certificate from the Linux body, they kind of like this. It's very strict. They shut down everything on the computer. In fact, if there's a movement behind you, your examiner will flag you. If they hear any voice, your examiner will flag you. So imagine having to cheat, like the Indians will take over your system, write that exam for you, and you pass. So do you see why certifications are starting to hold no importance? But when you design a cake and you put your whipped cream on top, there's something they call what? Cherry on top. Certifications are the cherry on the cake. But every single thing else will not happen.
Alright, so your other, yes, your clarifications, they're actually important, right? Some of them do. All right, so one of the participants actually asked a favor, and I think it's necessary that we give her the opportunity to address her concern. So she wanted to ask a question directed at Ania. She is a female participant, and I think it would be better if she asks the question herself.
So I would like you to give advice for young
Yes, so that when we broadcast our meeting here today, and a lot of women are viewing, they can hear your own voice.
Okay, this is a very, it's a topic that is close to my heart personally because I have been doing the work in Kano to bring more women into tech for 5 years now. In 2021, I became a woman technical ambassador for Google, and this woman technical ambassador, your main role or what to do is to kind of have programs, provide pipelines, for women to come into tech easier by having mentorship, have programs, inclusive programs, go to schools, talk to them, and all of that. And it's 5 years now, right? I cannot confidently say that I have made an impact I would love to on the scale that I would do that. And when you look at this room right now, what is the representation of women? We have like 90, 10 women. Right. And even in the 10, I think some people are going to that. So, my first thing is tech in Nigeria has different aspects. There's tech of South and there's tech of North. I'm going to be talking about North Nigeria. Because representation for women in tech is higher in the South. You know that, right? Now, for Northern Nigeria, there's a lot of social barriers. When I first started out with tech personally, my brother is a business, right? And I remember my mother reporting me to him that all of that. Mary, I have attended an event and I took a picture and I was only late in the room. And I posted it on my WhatsApp and my uncle was like, why are you fully present? So we know when I have religious barrier, trouble. We know we have patriarchal society. We know we have cultural barrier. Be honest. You guys here, please be honest. How many of your sisters or wives is allowed to come to them? How many? So when we're even talking about, it's not even about the mentorship. I have an NGO literally dedicated to women, bringing women in tech. And what did I do recently? I closed an academy because I realized getting women to come out to programs is literally like finding a needle in a haystack. It is hard because of what? I don't know what to compare. These are the issues. So we are literally on a validation losing field as women. Literally, there were times whereby I will be asked in a meeting and I will still be asked to go to the kitchen do something. I will be in a meeting and I'll be in the kitchen. Tell me how I'll be competing with a man that doesn't do that. We don't have the same reality. That is the honest. So at the end of the day, we have to work. But life is not only twice, 3 times as hard. For me, I work 3 times as hard to do 60. Absolutely. And how many people at Techies, how many people you have to know something for you to keep pushing. I have been in 2019 right here. I have been pushing. I do events. And I still thank God that I come from a home whereby my mother is very supportive. I have traveled far and wide for events. I have spoken at places I would never have done. And why? Because she doesn't have any religion that women is not really and when all your life, this is what you do and this comes to believe. This is a male-dominated field. It's not only in Nigeria also. This is the whole world. In the UK, there's still, I think, 40% less women in the workforce than men, right? But also, there's also something called interest. Women might not be interested in tech. Like we want them to. We have more women interested in things like healthcare, right? And that's fine.
So, but the women that are in tech should be given an enabling system. That is why I do training programs. For example, like I just come out and say I want to train 10 ladies in German. I'll train for like 6 months. I do that for my own time. But when I post these things, guess who is in my DMs attacking me? Man. This is not fair. You are only showing opportunities for women, blah, 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 blah. That's why you see women only internships. Because if these steps are not created, active intentions are not made to bring more, attract more women in tech, but like let's say you attend this program and you really, really woman in that place. So even 5 years from now, I'm still not like our representation is still not good enough. So please, this is also to my task and the room. Please, I beg you, create an enabling system for women. We cannot do the work alone. We need allies. If you not become our allies, so we'll never get, to the scale we want to. So everybody has to alter that. Women, the passion, tenacity, push. If you want this push. Men, be an ally and create an enabling system.
So generally with tech in Iowa or in any other part of the country, I think we can look at India. India are more conservative when it comes to their military abilities and probably us. And they have kind of made a shift in terms of the tech. If you look at the women that are in tech in the United States and other foreign countries, you see a lot of women in practical languages like Java, anything that you see there is going to be a woman in tech in India because they have just said it to themselves, just like we said it to ourselves. Why? We need modern tests, let's run modern tests, let's have modern tests, let's have more engineers. It's intentional that we have modern tests, more engineers than any other field, more lawyers. Because probably you have branded, we have encouraged more people to do this, we have incentivized the program, we have made high paying salary for this program. Doctors take more money than any other profession in the past. That is showing more proof of concept than any other field. Engineering as well, lawyers. So if we can actually do this to them, even for the men, it doesn't go. The interest is not there. You have to spark the interest. You cannot just say, I'm a teacher, I am this way, and then you decide you will go to school. Somebody has to go to the student. Somebody has to force those students to come to you. It's like you will be blocked to go to Islamia. Maybe you have to start producing.
I also want Islamia.
So we have to push people in the media, in the radio, in the government, in the houses. No matter how little awareness you can create in a radio program, because earlier when we are doing GTG, I have seen people saying, okay, just go to the radio. I was like, who's going to see it in the radio and see? I just said like, it's not needed. Then I found out parents have actually listened to the program on the radio and said, okay, you have to attend that program. And we've seen the people that attend to the program. Me myself, I'm actually passing that to join this. I started using going to computer training in 2009. And it's my father that they come to our school, they try to apply and we get and say, okay, this is apply. After secondary school, junior secondary school holiday, this is something that we can do. And our father supported us. This is something that started at the ground, from the parents, from the mothers, from the brothers. You are not in tech, you can support buying a laptop. The smallest thing you can do in tech. You have no idea how much to my father said I should get a job back when I finished university. And he was glad that I didn't get a job because you see how the pension stopped because he was actually trying to see how I can be a lot more worker, just like this is very restriction now that I should also do the same. But it turns out that they got the pension, the late he was like, okay, by the time you 25 years old, 35 years old, they are just pension. So he was like, well, you can't go to pension into this thing that is not salary. So somebody has to support you. There needs to be a support system for anybody who see the support. All of us that you see there is a support system. Whether we mention it or not, there is our parents, our friends, the community, the people, even the hobby that is supporting this particular program because somebody will be here. this is the support system we're talking about. So you need to know any person here, find somebody in your area that listens to you, that talks down, sit down with you. It's all the social media talks and means. Bring them to this program, something like this. As small as sharing the link, as small as bringing to the event, it will expand its horizon. Okay, this is how what people, the nice works are talking about. Then we also be. So this is what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Muhammad. So, as we bring the program to a close, I want to stress on the points we have made. Support, 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 right? Support your wives, support your sisters, your brothers, your friends. In the tech ecosystem, we need to support each other. Are we together? So please, as we bring this program to a close, I would like you to give a special round of applause to our speakers. They have actually done very well and have done justice to their topics. I would also like you to give a special round of applause to you, the participants, both physical and virtual, for having answered to our call and being here with us. It's really great and nice to have you here with us. And I would also like you to give a special round of applause to the Sapphire Hub for organizing this program. Yes, they actually tried, and I would like to actually pin out my organ, the person of Mr. Usman Foley. It's actually the planner for this event. He
Alright, leave out.
Please, a round of applause for Usman Foley. Because of this event, actually, and he put it together. It's very nice. All right. Usman,
Yeah.
those pictures, where are you? Here with me?
We can just do it outside, but But the essence of the second part is meet and greet. Don't go here without knowing, not knowing
Yes,
somebody.
please, at least try and-
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so
So you are good for talent. So you're really good design code is also we are also what you do.
yes, actually, I have your emails, right? So apart from the networking you'll be doing there and collecting contacts, I'll also collect their contacts to share with you as emails, right? For them to send over before you. All right.
Yeah, we'll do it outside, but let us just take like 5 minutes to network within this place, and then we'll just snap outside.
Yes, well, because of the prayer,
Yeah.
it's already.
Yeah, it's already time there.
So
But
let's
let's snap
have
out
a group picture and then you can still come back for the networking
if you want to.
if you want to. But at least let's have a group picture and then we can go and play and play.
We are not.
I mean, can we say-
Yeah.
so please.
Everybody went up.
Speakers, I think I just I mean, there's only you have two layers up, very tall ones behind. I would like this all chat. Hello, please, our very tall young men and ladies. Let's be behind as in the papa, the tall ones. The tall ones like me. I think I have called you. Let's go around.
Go on. Let's do the guy. And I don't want to go any.
And the rest of Thank you so much. Thanks for being here. Yes, so we just I would like to make this program close. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. And I hope you will be joining us in our future programs. We can use these videos to network. You can know each other, collect contacts. Present yourself, what you do, how you can do it. I didn't land your job, your next video.